Texas Haynets offer a new and exciting way to feed round bales that provides a healthy and cost-saving alternative to moldy, messy piles of disgusting hay surrounding your feeder. When horses eat from a Texas Haynet, the process is similar to that of naturally grazing in a pasture. The Texas Haynet limits the amount of hay a horse can grab with each bite, which means they eat for longer periods of time. Smaller bites eaten over extended periods of time gives their digestive system a chance to absorb and utilize more nutrients from the food. Confined horses are often bored after they've gorged themselves on a round bale. Because they're eating for longer periods of time, there is less boredom. Horses stay busy grazing the net and seem to be less concerned with what their pen mates are doing. The Texas Haynet makes it impossible for a horse to burrow into the bale. This prevents the horse from inhaling harmful particulates or suffering an eye injury. By reducing the wasted hay around the bale, the area where your horse spends most of its day is kept cleaner and healthier. This reduces the risk of thrush, as well as eliminating a prime breeding ground for flies and other insect pests. Since the horses have to eat the bale from the outside in, the bale stays tightly wrapped, which helps to shed moisture and dirt. This keeps the bale fresh and clean. If your bale lasts 50% longer, you've reduced your feed bill by half. That's a huge savings. Half as much time and expense replacing bales is another benefit to the Texas Haynet. One of the worst jobs on the ranch is cleaning up spoiled, filthy hay. With a Texas Haynet, that's something you won't have to do anymore. Here's how it works. The Texas Haynet can be put on by 1 or 2 people. Simply toss the net up over the bale and stretch it evenly all the way around. Using the draw cord, secure the net tightly around the bottom and tie it up. Tuck the cord up under the net and you're ready to either drop the feeder over the bale or lift the bale into the feeder. Now here's a quick comparison of 2 identical bales put into adjacent pens at the same time. One has a Texas Haynet and one does not. Look at the difference after less than 24 hours. Day 4, Day 5, Day 7, Day 9, and Day 10. Notice the difference? Of course you do. Look how much hay is wasted from the bale without the Texas Haynet. That's a lot of mess to clean up and a lot of money wasted.
The Haynet is really interesting in the fact that it can probably mimic grazing about as close as anything out there. Out in the pasture, they're grazing small bites as they move throughout the grass, not standing in one place and really ingesting a large amount of feed. And obviously that's what we see with the hay nets too. They can stand at the hay feeder for hours almost and not really take in huge, large quantities. When we learn more about the digestion, especially with horses, we find that the horse cannot really handle large amounts of dry matter or feed at one period of time. There's a maximum amount that the stomach can hold, and so just the intake of a smaller amount of nutrients allows more of that to be absorbed, and it allows obviously less wastage for us because that animal doesn't have that going through.
So I was very grateful when I did learn of the Texas Haynets and started to use them because it helped to greatly minimize my waste and slow the horse's intake down, which made for happier, healthier horses.
After just a few minutes, all 3 of my horses found their place around the round bale and they were experimenting with pulling the hay out, and after a couple more minutes they didn't even realize that the net was there.
Cows adapted really, really well. I was kind of shocked actually, but they went to grabbing the hay just like the horses have.
My horses adapted really well to using the hay net. It was a very smooth and fluid transition because that's how their bodies and systems are designed to graze, with small, frequent bites. It was a really natural process for them.
I initially noticed right away that there wasn't the typical piles of hay around the feeders.
The hay that's discarded that falls to the side absorbs a lot more moisture, fecal material, urine, and those animals then are required to stand in that when they're normally grazing or normally eating. And by the use of the hay net, we just alleviate that. The environment around the feeder is dry. It's much more pleasant for those animals to stand there, and it greatly reduces the health risks and the feet problems that we can certainly see with horses.
It's extremely easy to use, they're lightweight, and one person can manage it just fine.
Allows for us to absorb the most nutrients out of the product that we can, that allows for less wastage to occur, but it also reduces a lot of the health risks that we see. When an animal's grazing out in the pasture, it's nice, lush, green grass. There's not really any dust, there's not really any irritants that they're getting. When they're grazing out of the hay nets, they're getting small amounts, but their heads aren't buried in the hay. It's greatly reduced the incidence of respiratory illnesses, as well as even eye injuries from scraping or pieces of hay that get stuck in the eye or behind the eyelid.
I firmly believe that it's healthier for the horse because they have a more natural, consistent supply of hay, yet they can't just binge eat and fill up and then go stand in the corner.
Since beginning to use the Texas Haynet, I found that my horses' boredom has significantly decreased because they don't have long periods of time without hay. I've experienced that their anxiety has decreased, again, because they don't go periods without something in front of them to cater to their natural desire to graze.
But I actually found that those bales lasted longer because those animals actually utilized more of the hay. They didn't waste that. They didn't discard it outside of the feeder. And when they were grazing and moving around, they weren't standing in 6 inches of manure and urine. So there again, it was much healthier for them, much safer environment for everybody.
If I have to move my horses to another barn for whatever reason and they don't have Texas Haynets there before I move them, I'll go out and buy my own.
Or under the occasion that I'd be looking for a different boarding facility, very important that they use the hay nets for all the obvious reasons, but it just allows horses to eat in a way that's more natural to how their bodies were designed to intake food and metabolize food. I think it's a very smart and hopefully will become a given part of herd management for boarding operations across the country.
Are they a good investment? Absolutely. Like I said, I believe just based on the waste factor alone, I think they would pay for themselves quickly.
As a great investment. I have not done the calculation for how quickly it pays itself off, but it would be within a very short period of time because you do decrease waste so drastically and you decrease the risks of colic and wounds from aggression in some cases because the horses just do so well and are so content with the hay net.
My horses are entirely different, more happy horses, and there's a lot less animosity in the pen, I would say, as they wait for food because it's always there if they need it, and they're just a lot happier and healthier. And then the added benefit for everyone, of course, is the reduction in waste and the cost savings. I would bet that a Texas Haynet would pay for itself within a matter of weeks, and so happier, healthier horses where you can save money, I think, is the key. I wouldn't be without one.
I would definitely not feed round bales without a Texas Haynet. Big old mess, big mess of waste of hay and big mess to clean up after. So round bales without a hay net is back in the dark ages now, in my opinion.
Provide a healthier feeding environment for your horses and start saving money today with your own Texas Haynet.